Hello and welcome back to another episode of Dorm Room Diplomacy. I am one of your hosts, Jack Arnold, joined as per usual by Mr. Matthew Nelson. Sorry to cut you off.
I am the other host here. You might have forgotten our names, of course, because
yeah, we're back. It's crazy.
We're back. It's been a while.
I don't know the date on the last upload.
A while.
I should have checked, but it has been over a month.
It has been.
We promised weekly uploads. We promised ourselves weekly uploads.
Weekly uploads.
And we planned on doing weekly uploads. But for anyone who follows the show, even sporadically, it will have become evident that did not happen, and not even close. And hopefully today we can kind of explain maybe why that is. Get into how we're doing, the state of the world, and, the future of the show, the future of our lives, unpack a little bit.
Future of a lot of different things,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, for sure. As you might know, maybe in accordance with the time that we haven't been uploading, it's been break. We're all back in college now. It's kind of, and I think one of the things that we wanted to talk about is a little bit about, how our breaks went, and the kind of, I think we both found that we had an interesting transition between, full-time college student to no-time college student sitting at home and trying to be productive and, happy while being away from college. Kind of just a really, really, really stark routine change that just happens at a day's notice, right? And I found it quite odd. It was interesting. Going back home was lovely, of course, and getting to see family and friends was great. But at the same time, it's weird to just totally uproot your whole schedule you've been on for, 4+ months and totally just throw it out the window and do something entirely different. And I don't know how you felt about this, but, while I was here in college and stuff, to most, it might not have seemed like I had a routine, but I did, and I could count on it, right? Whereas, at home, it's totally sporadic because
right.
There's no classes, there's no, gym to go to, there's no dining halls to just go get food. Well, no convenient gym for me.
Couple of comments on that one, perhaps. We can get into that.
Yeah, you can yell at me at that.
Me when I was abandoned by my good friend who said he would go to the gym with me for the whole break. But no, I don't want to name any names. No, we're not pointing any.
Of course
fingers
not.
Here.
Of course.
No,
not.
I agree. I think it was not quite as startling for me, just because I was very much ready for a break. That being said, though, I completely agree with the whole structure thing. A lot for me. I did work a little bit over break, which kind of helped to, force some structure into my life. But I really didn't do that much, and so most of the time,
right.
I had a lot of time that really wasn't being filled with a whole lot. And so it certainly was a breakdown of that routine, that structure that I had become so used to, which definitely, I definitely kind of found myself certainly at the end of the break being like, okay, I'm ready to kind of get back into the routine.
Yeah, for sure.
Have a little bit of, structure, things that I have to do that can kind of help me with, just getting through the day and feeling like I have enough on my plate to be satisfied. But I really did enjoy going home and being at home.
Yeah.
It was amazing spending time with family, friends.
Yeah.
I really definitely needed that time.
As did
to
I,
kind of, just have a bit of a break, rejuvenate. And I really did enjoy it. And so it was certainly bittersweet coming to the end of the break where it's like, okay, sure, it's, I'm ready to be back, go, get into the swing of things again, work on setting up a new routine. But at the same time was, certainly hard to leave home and Even, just for a month, you kind of feel like you get back into your old routine.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it was
But then
kind of odd.
also, just leaving friends and family, difficult
Right,
as
right.
always.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, same for me. It was an amazing experience that definitely worthwhile. I don't think that's of any argument here. You know, but by the end of it, I was genuinely looking to get back to classes. I don't know. This might be just a me thing.
Crazy.
But I I guess I enjoy my major, and I guess we're getting right back into it. But yeah, no, it's hard. It's really hard to leave the people that you've the reason why you're back there. And I think, of course, the two of us live completely a little bit different lifestyles when it comes to home life and such. So things may be slightly different, but I just like my structure. I like my routine, and now we're back to it. Whether it be a good routine or a bad routine, obviously, comments withheld, please. But
I would never.
we're here and we're back. So, but I don't know if that really qualifies as an answer to the reason why we were gone. And I guess the only answer that I can give is that there wasn't really a good answer. More that life gets busy and such, but we are going to attempt to, obviously throughout the semester, keep up our Monday morning release schedule, and with an attempt to continue with that throughout the remaining, throughout the coming years and so on and so forth.
Here's the plan.
Of course, as all plans do, they change and they modify. But that is our current plan going forward. So we just like to keep everyone in the loop, let people know what the intent is. The intent is always good. That's what they say, right? Until it's not.
If I will be sure to make you very aware that if you can't carve an hour out of your week, once per week, to record our little podcast here, our little talkie time, then there will be comments made.
I'm sure there will.
I'll hold you accountable, and anyone who listens, I would hope also would do so.
For sure. But alas, I guess here we are. I think we wanted to talk a little bit about, how obviously we talked a little bit about overall how our breaks were, but what was the highlight? What was the highlight for you?
I mean, I don't want to get into too much personal stuff, just because obviously the whole break was mostly time with family and with friends.
Exactly.
I'd like to, keep that detached, but I did go on a very nice trip, and did a very challenging hike. We went on, it was me and my father. We took a trip. We hiked a 14er in January. And for anyone who has much alpine experience, it wasn't insane. It was not crazy, but it was certainly one of the most kind of extreme and difficult hiking ventures I've done. And that is something that I do a lot, and it's a significant hobby of mine. And so that was very enjoyable. Lots of really good time, bonding time, just good time spent together, but also a very challenging experience that felt very good to accomplish and overcome.
Right.
And got some really cool drone footage and some photography as well. So
absolutely.
That's always an added bonus.
Was there many people with you on the trails? I'm just curious. On a sunny January day.
Did not see a single other human, actually.
Seriously?
For the entire hike, yeah.
Seriously?
Yep.
Wow.
And we were there the whole day. From, took us about 8 hours, I think, 7-8 hours. So there was no one the whole time.
Yeah, so I assume the trails were completely open and stuff too. So I mean, I guess people just don't.
For the most part, yeah.
People I assume the amount of people that travel to do 14ers in January are not large, but not tiny either at the same time.
No, I mean, it's more of it becomes more of a local thing when you're in the winter season. People who
Right.
are experienced with that and who live there are going to do it because it really is not. I mean, it's a difficult hike. It's not a super fun experience per se. You're
Right.
sliding around on ice and deep snow, and certainly can take some of the fun out of it. But all things considered, it wasn't really as bad as we thought it would be, and it ended up being a super cool experience.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's I'll have to try it at some point, but it definitely seems like
We should.
something a little bit challenging for most people. But I'm glad that you made it back. Obviously, you're here.
We are alive. So
Yes.
it all worked out in the end.
Mm-hmm. For sure. But I think one of the other things that we were kind of gonna discuss a little bit is maybe just touch up a little bit more on vision for a couple future episodes, perhaps, direction of the podcast, so on and so forth. As we come back into the swing of things, we are doing our best to come back with just as much quality as we left and improve upon that quality. So
Certainly.
I think Jack wanted to speak upon that a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, a lot of my interests, just in terms of topics, is more philosophy type stuff, psychology type stuff. Maybe looking at a few psychological theories, just kind of more, broad scale, the human experience, if you will, and the reasons people do things, all of this, and also philosophy, kind of breaking down people's thought process,
Right.
our own perhaps, and kind of just getting into the weeds with that. And I think it's just a very good way to take very simple things and kind of break them out into different pieces. And
Right.
I feel it's such a common theme to overcomplicate things, and just kind of breaking down thought by thought, brick by brick, if you will, just all of these different theories, the processes, just different, it's
Right,
all the
right, right.
study of thought or the human mind. And so just that has been an interest of mine over the course of the last few months, and kind of my my New Year's resolution, if you will. Put that in big air
sure.
quotes because I hate the term.
Kind of evaluate yourself some more.
But more for me, it was I'm wanting to do a lot more reading, and that reading has been primarily, philosophy and
Right.
psychology. And so that's kind of what I'm working on doing more as, I guess, a step towards personal growth. But hopefully sharing some of my interests in that and having some good discussions, because I think there's a lot to be learned from a lot of topics just within both of those spheres.
Absolutely. I guess my if you had to put a New Year's resolution on it, it'd probably be to just actually get the fullest out of my education. So I think that's
right.
everyone's classic thing.
That's
Get
fair.
a bit more healthy as well. That's
Yeah.
a classic one. But not
renewed
necessarily in the
focus.
conventional sense. Not necessarily in the conventional sense of hitting the gym harder or anything like that. But perhaps the more being conscious of what we're doing, how we're doing it. So I think we're all just kind of working forward to try and better ourselves, and hopefully as a result, maybe we better the podcast a little bit in the progress.
That's the
but-
goal. I want to touch on the whole New Year's resolution thing very quick, because just the entire construct pains me. And the reason is, you get to the month of December, and everyone, the December, January time is when everyone starts doing a little introspection, and they think about the past year, and nearly always it's a time of significant disappointment in one's own accomplishments, because even if you did great stuff in a year, and even if you accomplished a lot, it's just, it's a component of the human psyche to always be like, oh, well, I could have done better. I could have done better, and didn't live up to certain expectations, whatever it may be. The thing that annoys me, and I'm not knocking at all on trying to set goals and trying to better oneself, like that's not what this is about. It's more so the timing of it, where people will get to December or whatever, it could be November, whenever the case, and you just are thinking about this type of stuff, and you're like, oh yeah, next year is going to be my year. In like 3 weeks, I'm going to set all these crazy, this great New Year's resolution, whatever. And it looks different for everyone. And the thing that it bothers me so much is like, why are we waiting till then to do that? Why are we waiting till now,
Right.
Obviously, like the holiday season, everyone's, living a quite relaxed life for the most part. And, you want to eat all this good food and spend all this great time with people and kind of just, be lazy, hang around. It's the end of the year, right? Celebrate a little bit. Sure, that's great.
Yeah, absolutely.
But, what's not to say that you can, give this renewed focus to your life in June or something. Whenever you can, I guess more it's just valuing constant introspection and constantly kind of looking inward and being like, okay, just evaluate what's going on. And
I think that it's not an issue with the concept. It's an issue with the cultural context that's given to it as well.
Yeah. I mean, it's just something that you can constantly be doing, as opposed to, the new year rolls around. That is the time you need to do all of this, introspection, I guess. All of this looking inward.
On top of it, there's also a cultural, negativity and connotation that comes around the whole New Year's resolution thing. And I find it funny because it's entirely counterproductive, but ultimately, I think we should talk about, psychological resolve and so on and so forth in the future. How resolved are you to complete your tasks? How do you become more resolved? How do you, do that introspection that you were talking about and come to a result that you're satisfied with and then go and pursue it? How do you develop these habits? How do you make a system right for you in order to, reap the benefits of these goals? But I feel like most people don't have those skills, myself included. And I think, honestly, I say most, but I think all people, fall victim to some of the, not being resolute to everything. And unfortunately, it builds that negative connotation where, like, oh, you're going to build a New Year's resolution. Good luck. And it's just like, I'm whining about something that would only exist in a utopic world where everyone can be happy with everything everyone does, and that just doesn't exist. We can't be all productive, and we can't be all good job, Jack, you did this today. Good job, Jack, you did that the next day. Or it's we don't live in a world where we're constantly providing that positive reinforcement.
Yeah, and I think I'm not trying to say like, always be super critical of yourself and always be looking at, I could have done this better. I could have improved. That's not what you want to be doing. That's a very mentally unhealthy way to live. And also not to say that I like myself, I do not always look at what I can be doing better and setting, small goals throughout the year. Like, it's something everyone's struggling with, and everyone's at a different spot in terms of where they are when it comes to this. But just more so the importance of like all the ideas when it comes to this, New Year's resolution type stuff. And I love how we're hitting this, at like the end of January almost, just because of our piss poor schedule.
Our awful timing. Yeah.
But it's less undermining the ideal of it, because that is great, and more so taking that ideal and applying it throughout the year, throughout your,
Right.
just
Right.
yeah. So, but I don't
And
want to
I
dwell
think-
too much on it. It's
Yeah.
you can always get into that at a later time.
Yeah, and I think unfortunately for the discussion, it dives really deep into kind of the function of the way that we do our goal system, the way that we our brain tries to create a reward system, and how our brains perhaps I mean, it's proven that we like to see results quick rather than over time. Like, these are concepts that have been, and
Right.
when you don't see those results, what happens? Stagnation, so on, so forth. Like, again, it's something that I think has really, really important, value. The concept itself, thinking about it in that sense, has some value for sure, because everyone should take that, that moment to step back and, like you said, reevaluate.
Right.
But I think at some point later we might maybe not talking specifically about New Year's resolutions, but this concept still has parallels that can be drawn in a lot of different ways. So for sure could be a future delve into the brain, for instance, and why. But ultimately, I wish that it wouldn't get so much of a negative reputation when it comes to, oh, you're not going to achieve your goals because whatever percentage of people normally doesn't, so on and so forth. But, alas, I think it's still a great concept, because if you aren't the introspective person, at least it gives you one solid time a year that forces you to be somewhat introspective. And
I mean, I
think
I guess I don't know.
I think that everyone should be, looking at themselves every, a lot, and seeing how they can better themselves. But I guess if you're going to force people to do it, might as well force people to do it, right?
Yeah. I mean, I guess.
I don't know. But yeah, I think where I was going prior to that tangent was I was going to talk a little bit about topics that I want to see a little bit. And one of the ones that I found a little bit interesting, especially with the transition of the house. And of course, we missed our window to discuss some of the news that's been going around in the house. I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about a age-old, long-term issue, benefit, depending on where you look at it. I want to talk a little bit about insider trading. I want to talk a little bit about a little bit more about how things are run in the house. I just find this a little bit interesting. I don't know. It's interesting to me how the U.S. government runs that way, and I think that it might be interesting to talk about some of the topics and how they are, not necessarily how it works, but perhaps more a little bit about the topics of how they are directly affecting you and me. And I think it would be interesting to just give a little bit of light to some of those discussions, because a lot of the time that those types of news, unless they're, something crazy happened or something stupid happened, oftentimes gets brushed under and never talked about. But other than that, I mean, I also kind of want to talk a little bit more about, just engineering in general. My major, of course, from more of a, a technology side, more of a, inspiring people to be a part of technology. Obviously, you could be an advocate for any sort of job field, but I found it so beneficial in my lifetime. I feel like it's kind of a responsibility to me to say something out there to how much it's benefited me personally. Now there's going to be something different for everyone, but I feel like I definitely, when I look back at my life and I look back at the things that helped me make my decisions, it was definitely people that had talked to me, told me things, explained stuff, and just brought me to the conclusion that, hey, this is right for me. And I feel like I'm not trying to go all this is what you should do and that's what you should do. But maybe shine a little bit of light. Maybe you can shine a little bit of light on why you enjoy your major and why you enjoy not necessarily your major, but your field that you're working in and stuff like that.
Yeah, it'd be an interesting discussion. So I think there's also, and I think we touched on it a while back. We did an episode on I forget what exactly the topic was, but looking at the value of going to school and if there is value or what that value is. I think it'd be interesting because there's a variety of metrics and you need to kind of take everything into account. And
exactly.
As of right now, I enjoy what I'm doing, certainly more so than I did last semester. I had a pretty uneventful and unfulfilling semester that has shifted for the looks of it to be a bit better, and so that's certainly a positive. But yeah, it'd be an interesting discussion. We'll have to crack
absolutely
open.
I think we can definitely evaluate after being here for a little. I think we might have in previous times evaluated more the reasons why college is beneficial from a more direct visualization of the entire situation and its contents. But the more and more we're here and the more we gain the experience, I think we can talk a little bit more to the perhaps the ways that it's changing what we do and how we go about doing it, the things that we're learning that aren't the content that is getting shoved down our throats by teachers and stuff, by professors, but rather what we're learning by becoming adults, I guess, for lack of better, words. Yeah.
I mean, I guess. If that's what we are now. I
suppose. I don't see it. I genuinely.
I'll hang on to my childhood. That way I can limit my liability for my own actions.
Yeah, the real world means that you have to actually deal with your own actions. And who wants to do that?
It's good stuff.
But it is good stuff. It is good stuff.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think at the end of the day, we hope to have, I mean, I know I do. I of course can't speak for you, but a renewed focus when it comes to our podcasting efforts. Obviously, as always, we have plenty of ideas. That's why we're doing this show in the first place, to talk through things, to talk to ourselves, to talk with each other. You know, the circulation of ideas, I think, is helpful for us to come to our own conclusions, and the hope, is that it's helpful for other people to come to their conclusions too. Otherwise, who the hell would listen to us? But I think at the end of the day, we definitely want to continue our consistency, get back on track with things, and hopefully continue to improve the quality of the episodes.
Yeah,
because I know a big thing for me is, we've improved certainly since we started, but still every time I look through our episodes and, whether I'm cutting them up for clips or whatever, just rehashing ideas, I still despise the conversations we have and think that we sound like complete idiots. So hopefully that can be a bit of a goal for personal growth for the both of us. Growth together in this endeavor that we have to, get a little bit better at
absolutely
into our microphones.
I mean, that was the mission to begin with, right?
Yeah. So, for anyone who is still listening or is just starting to listen or who will be listening and is listening to this episode for some reason, at a later date, which, like, if you are, I can't imagine the title is that exciting. So, but you do you, and we appreciate it nonetheless.
Yeah.
So hopefully going forward, we can continue to, do what we set out to do, and that'll be our simple and hopefully attainable goal.
Continue to grow, right? I guess that's always the goal. Yeah. I see that as what it is.
Very nice, very nice. Yeah,
we're
what?
No, I was just saying. I all day I've been struggling for words. So
Really?
here I
Yeah.
am.
Well, I
Yeah.
mean, we pre-showed for like 5 minutes before this, and
Yeah.
we're like, oh, okay, we'll talk about a few topics we want to talk about, why we didn't record, and obviously we didn't really have a topic we wanted to crack into, and
Right.
this is being recorded Sunday night, and it is going up in the morning, and so for anyone who's listening, I mean, it'll be Monday the 23rd that this is aired. We're recording it the night before. And so, obviously, we wanted to share thoughts when it comes to why it is that we were gone. That I think is clear. But
Yeah.
obviously, there was no other plan in terms of what it is that we wanted to hash out. So, unfortunately,
Hey! I have a little something.
let's go. We have things to talk about on our podcast then.
So, for anyone who is an avid viewer of the video side of our podcast, you might have noticed that my background seems slightly less barren. I'm now a conventional college student and got a roommate back, which is interesting. I think we talked a little bit about living in college without a roommate is great, but it's been great having someone else back here as well. So, I mean, I think that I also kind of at some point, I know we've talked a little bit about the college experience and such in past, but it's been weird having both of them, It's been weird having one, then going to a different one, and then going to a different one again.
Now you're just forced to have some human interaction. It's terrible.
I mean, I would only interact with humans 40% of my day before this. And now, gosh darn it, I have to interact, maybe 60 or 65% of my day. But no, it's been great.
You poor thing.
I know. It's been great. And I guess it's just kind of the stark contrast of going from one day being with someone to one day being completely gone to one day someone coming back. It's just kind of interesting. But everyone, I want to kind of for a moment talk a little bit about. It's terrifying, but at the same time, it's like it's okay. I feel like there's this massive
unpack terrifying for me.
Okay, so I feel like, or at least for me and for others that I've discussed with, more of the perhaps introverted character style have, fears of living with someone else that you have absolutely no clue who they are. And honestly, it's entirely valid, definitely valid. But I guess, and this is obviously not every case is going to be the same, but for some people, if you're looking for the reassurance that it's probably going to be okay, that's kind of what I'm trying to say here is that I've been through the same thing, and it's odd, but it's also it helps. I've noticed that I've developed a little bit of a better sense to kind of just adapt with whatever the hell is going on in my life, and that's a skill that I feel like, is good to develop, and a skill that I've appreciated developing as well. Now, I'm talking on my high horse. I've had one fucking experience. Let's get this straight here. But at the same time, I feel like it's cool to bring it out that sure, different experiences are scary, but at the same time, experiencing things is part of life, and I guess I have been evaluating it over time and have kind of come to the realization that, it's a good thing. And I didn't think I'd come to that. The moment I saw it, I didn't think I'd come to that resolution.
Yeah, I was gonna, originally I was gonna be like, you've got to be kidding me. Obviously living with someone, sure, can it be uncomfortable for a little bit of time? Yes. But at the end of the day, you're both college students. The worst that can happen is, you get a sock stolen or something. The likelihood of you getting someone who is like actually a serious problem.
Right.
Very slim. And so
Right.
I was, but I think, yes, it is important. And I think it's good. It's good to have, certain experiences that are perhaps at first not pleasant experiences and are annoying situations to deal with, whatever it may be. And I think it's also just like a thing with working with other people. Certainly anyone who has been, who has worked a job that is team oriented or significant group projects, all of these things, working with people in any group of people, depending on the setting, there are going to be a variety of personalities, the variety of character traits that some work well together and some do not work well together in the slightest. But at the end of the day, depending on the goal is, what the setting is, what we're talking about here, like these are things that you need to deal with and be able to, have a sort of acceptance towards, whether it be making compromises with someone you're living with, a roommate agreement where, you guys could, even if you're not great friends, you have a respectful, relationship and you both enjoy living together. I got really lucky. I went in random for my roommate and he is truly just a very nice and respectful person. We're not similar at all. Like we are two very different people. But we get along super well. And, we just have a respect for each other's time, space. And it has ended up working out really well because we just, it's, at the end of the day, regardless of whether it's an uncomfortable experience at first, you're living with the person. You got to get used to it. And that's certainly the reality of like the college experience.
Absolutely.
But it applies to all kinds of things as well.
And I think the point of what I was, the point of what I was trying to attempt to, express was, your concern validated. However, at the same time, don't necessarily be concerned. Rather, be open to, something like this. And I genuinely think with the experiences I've had, and I think speaking from you, it comes out to be positive, and it's not something to be scared of, but rather something. Not at all. Maybe you don't look forward to it. That's genuinely I understand. But like
a really bad experience, it's still
be
helpful
open
because regardless of what's going on, whether it be academic or professional, you're going to have to work with people. And you're going to have to work with people you do not agree with. And so, yes, I understand. Like, I am a pretty introverted person, but also you need to be comfortable with and become increasingly comfortable with working with other people and making your ideas clear and being able to communicate your ideas and being able to listen and, extrapolate another person's ideas and, make decisions off of that. And like, it's
absolutely
all, it's life. It's small building blocks. And so I think, important experiences. Also, not everything is going to be sunshine and rainbows.
True.
I think that is clear for everyone in different capacities. So.
Mm-hmm. And, that's about all I wanted to say. I just kind of wanted to.
I don't want to drone on too much
because and evaluate.
We're out of things to talk about. I don't want to create any illusions here. We've talked about what we thought we were going to talk about. So anything past this point will only be annoying to us and annoying to the listeners. But alas, I can promise for sure that we will have episodes up the next couple of weeks. And I will certainly be holding Mr. Matthew to a consistent upload schedule now. Because
I know I'm the editing slave here.
No, I only kid.
Yeah, we will get them out to you, and that's something that we are going to hold as a high priority.
Certainly, and also it's something we enjoy as well.
It is.
It's a good time to catch up and to talk about things that we do genuinely find interesting, and we just I certainly hope that you guys find them interesting as well.
For sure. I think that is just about all we have for today.
Indeed, indeed. We'll see you next week.
Peace.
Peace. Alrighty.